being the Lakers. Now, what are your odds you think that the Lakers repeat?
I think they're really good, and here's the thing. Nothing's ever a sure thing, but without injury, they're about as sure a thing as there is in sports. Look at the 72 win Warriors. They didn't win the championship. They lost 3 in a row.
72 win Warriors.
Yeah. Okay. But this team looks really good. I watched them last night. Without LeBron and without AD, they toyed with the Clippers. And not saying the Clippers played their starters 40 minutes, but they got a good chunk of change last night. And the Lakers looked good. Because Gasol looked really good.
They
at
were
the high post.
70%.
Yeah.
In the game. That you can't expect to happen, but they were shooting at 70%. You're like, oh man. And you didn't have the best 2 players in the game.
Yeah, well, Horton was hitting. He must have hit 50 or 60% from his threes.
Yeah,
and he was tearing it up last night. But even Kuzma had a good
5 for 7.
Kuzma was hitting some threes. Everybody was hitting some threes. They are just so diverse in how they can attack. They got so many guys that can drive. They got they got some guys that could shoot decently. I just don't know. Other than injury, that's the only thing I fear with the Lakers is a major injury. And going the thing is going into the short season, 72 games, and then making sure that they don't burn themselves out early. They shouldn't worry about being the 1 seed, just being a 2 or 3 seed and easing their way into the playoffs.
I think they're gonna ease themselves into the number 1 seed.
They could.
This team is just too stacked. Because realistically, they could just do what they did last night. And that's what I was saying. I think I was telling you before. I just want to play Anthony Davis and LeBron James at the same time. Like those nationally televised games, okay, you're going to play. And I think the NBA said they were talking about something about finding teams and players for not playing their stars on nationally televised games, which makes perfect sense because the NBA, they need to make their money. And on a national televised game, like those players do need to play. The NBA, and I don't know for sure, but the NBA really should make sure that there's not back-to-back national televised games. So as long as there's no back-to-back, and they're pretty lenient with the way that they try to treat their players, and I think they try to treat their players as best they can. Right now, it's a financial struggle trying to get 72 games. I think they cut it down by 10 games.
72
and
games.
It's going to be in a compressed season, so it's going to be pretty busy. But I would try to stay off from LeBron and Anthony Davis. And they have the players to do it. THT, he can start for you, no problem. You have Schrodinger, he can start for. You have so many players that you can just go ahead and just put in the starting lineup. Marc Gasol, I would actually, take him, let him rest some too. He's going to have to rest. You can kind of just do a revolving thing. They actually have it seems like too many good players. So it would actually benefit them for sure, kind of rotating a couple people out and then maybe closer to the NBA season or playoffs, then you start going, okay, this is going to be the rotation, the main rotation. But after watching last night and really just I was watching some highlights and stuff from him from the game, he needs to get some time. But I don't know whose time he gets.
Yeah, here's the thing. They're 11 deep, and he's the 11th guy right now. So the guys that are ahead of him are Wes Matthews because he's a veteran, and Kyle Kuzma. Those are the 2 guys. And so I think, like you talked about, there's going to be some games that LeBron and AD don't play, and that's where he gets his minutes. And he's going to have to be patient because Kuz and Matthews have been in the league for a while. But if he keeps on playing like this at this level, he's got to come off the bench, right? The way I look at it, if it was me, if I was coaching this team today, I would go Schroeder at the 1. I would go KCP at the 2. I go Gasol at the 5, LeBron at the 3, and Davis at the 4. And then, so what does that leave you with? Caruso and Matthews, right? As your 2s, and they could both play point if they had to, or you could put Horton Tucker in there. And then Montrezl Harrell is going to be the backup center, and then you got Kuzma and you got Morris. Like we talked about earlier, that second string is better than some first strings in the league.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's amazing all the trades they made, and they just tweak things just a little bit, get some good players. I could see a scenario where they trade Kuzma at the break or at Wesley Matthews, because they're just not going to get any time if Horton Tucker's for real, if he's for real. So we'll see. But I mean, everything that we heard going into camp is that this kid is just killing it. And then, what do we see in the first 2 games? He's the best player on the court both nights. And again,
did you watch where he was challenging Leonard, and he just ripped them? I mean, he's stronger than Leonard in a lot of
when he pulled that ball away from him, you could see Kawhi Leonard's look on his face, like what the heck just happened? and I don't know if you heard Friday night. He asked,
that's how old he was.
Yeah, how old he is. He goes, is that dude really 19?
Yeah, 19. He just turned 20. He is young. I don't know if you watched a couple of his moves, but he actually reminded me of Tatum a little bit. He had that long stretch behind or between the legs, then back up 3, and I was like, oh dang, that looked like Tatum. That looked like Tatum a lot. So I was like, because he's more lanky than like Kobe. Like Kobe did that, but he didn't look really. He's not a lanky kind of guy. Not nearly as much as Tatum. So I was like, oh damn. Because imagine if he can be, he'll probably won't be Tatum, but I mean, if he can be anything close to that, if he can be maybe not an all-star, but even a close to an all-star, like damn, you found him in the second round. And I was listening to James Worthy talk about like he could just have been a late bloomer. Like he had the tools, he just didn't have the skill yet. But being in the perfect situation with the Lakers and watching number 23 just ball out and how he does everything, I mean that's a great example to be like, oh, that's how I need to train. And he could be something special for sure.
Well, it was just 1 game, but he reminded me of Donovan Mitchell last night. That's who he reminded me of. He's a little thick, and you don't think he's that athletic, and the guy is super athletic. I mean, he could take it to the hole. He's got all these spin moves. He's a really good shooter. I mean, I look at his shot. He's got a really good release. And he's super mature. He does, if you look at he does little things right. It's funny, my criticism of Kuzma is legendary, right? But Kuzma looks like he has ants in his pants. He has to have the ball. Give me the ball. He's working really hard to try to get the ball. And Horton just, when he gets the ball, he scores. He's not looking to get the ball. He goes within the content of the offense.
Yeah, so you can tell from what you can see with Kuzma is he forces a lot of things. Where you can also tell with Tucker is he doesn't force pretty much anything. For the most part, it just feels it's all with the rhythm. And that's why I think he was on such a tear last night. There was a couple of moves that he did. He missed the shot, but I'm like, damn, that looked good. Like, I don't even care. Obviously, it's preseason. I wouldn't even care if it was in the season. The fact that he had the courage to try to take some of those shots, try to do a couple of those moves, is like behind the back, this way, that way. I mean, he felt totally comfortable doing it. To me, that was impressive as itself. And, I'm fine with it. I mean, he's still young. He's his second year. He's 20 years old.
20 years old.
Kind of curious.
So they can ease him in. They can ease him in.
And that's why I wouldn't start him. I wouldn't even think about starting him now, especially because if he was a second-round pick, is this his last year of his contract, I'm guessing?
That it might be, I have to look that up. So, but I would still think we have his bird rights. So
we would have his bird rights.
We can match. I think second-round picks, it is only a 2-year contract. So if we have his bird rights, we're going to have to actually max it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And
that's a no-brainer right there.
Oh yeah, you get him, but well, I doubt anyone's going to max him though. That's the thing. That's the only.
Well, when I mean max, I mean whoever gives him a deal. But yeah, it just shows you that right now the Lakers are the best organization in basketball. It's not even close. And the Warriors were for a long time. And you got to put Miami up there too, the way they do things. But when you talk about coaching, when you talk about players, player development, when you talk about scouting, when you talk about drafting, I mean, it's crazy how good the Lakers, are at getting guys. Like I was watching the Utah game today, and Jordan Clarkson looks really good. And another guy that they bought I think they bought the draft pick from Washington, and he's still in the league, and he's probably been in the league, 5 years now? It's just amazing. Jordan Clarkson.
Oh, Jordan Clarkson, yeah.
Yeah.
They had Jordan Clarkson. They have Thomas. He's on Washington now.
Yeah.
He was actually a pretty good pickup. Let's see. They got who else? They got some good second round picks.
They had Nance Jr.
Yeah, Nance Jr.
They have the kid from Michigan. He plays for the Washington Bullets.
Oh yeah, I didn't like.
He's still in the league though.
He's still in the league, but he was a first round pick.
Yeah, but he's but he's a late first round pick. He's probably 30.
Pick, yeah.
So
that was the pick that they promised they were going to get Robinson.
That
was a Robinson.
That's right. Mark from
the center from New York.
Yeah.
And then they ended up not getting him, and I was pretty Mitchell Robinson, I think.
Mitchell Robinson, yeah.
I was pretty upset about that because I thought he was pretty good, and then he was drafted, and then he turned out to be pretty good. I know we talk about that all the time. Like, give me a couple second round picks, and we'll make something with it. And for whatever reason, centers usually can do a little bit better with centers. I think a lot of people overlook a lot of centers because of today's NBA. Because Bol, I would have got Bol in the second round too. I was really big on Bol, at least getting him, stashing him, and seeing what happens. But anyways, yeah. So I don't know. With me, you were saying you'd have as your starting lineup. You said LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol. I'm guessing was in your starting five.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you had KCP at your 2, and you had Schrodinger at your 1.
Yeah.
See, and I know they were talking about him being a starter, but I think me personally, I mean, with the season going on, you're obviously going to start him. But I'm like, I would rather have LeBron at the 1, and then have Wesley Matthews at the 2/3, and then KCP also with that. So you're getting 2 strong shooters, just catch and shoot guys, Anthony Davis, and then Marc Gasol. And then like the first one coming out of the game, that's when I put Schrodinger in the game. You put Schrodinger in there, and then Harrell in there, and then Kuzma's got to be in there, and then THT in there, and then who else is I'm missing?
Caruso.
Yeah, you have to have Caruso. Damn.
Caruso. Yeah, you got 11 guys. You got 11 guys, and then like we were talking last night. I mean, Quentin Cook is not going to get playing time, but every time I see that kid play, he has nothing but buckets. Man.
Yeah, he's smart. He's not going to be great, but he's smart and he can shoot.
Yeah,
he's fine. I mean, he knows the offense as well. I mean, I don't know. I like him a lot too. But yeah, if you're gonna name and go, would you rather have Caruso or Cook? I'm like, I would rather have Caruso.
Yeah, Caruso. Yeah. And they may just do it on matchups. Every team's different, and they may just do the starting lineup on there. Marc Gasol, I can't wait to see him with tomorrow or actually Wednesday with AD and LeBron.
Oh my God!
All 3 play
together. You know how much lobs are going to be with those 2? It's going to be high, low post, and just boom, and then you're going to do his little flip around, turn, catch, and dunk. Like it's all day.
It almost looked like they were playing together for a year already with some of those passes that he was making on those cuts. I mean, he's almost Joker-like.
And
that's what I wanted him. That's why I wanted him, because he's such a good passer.
He's so smart. And he with Marc Gasol and LeBron James, there's basically like 2 point guards on the court, because I think he was averaging like 6 assists a game last year. So you're like 6 assists a game, like that. Like Schrodinger was averaging 6 assists a game. So
figure, and he's a point guard. Yeah,
he's a point guard. So you figure, that's our assists are most likely going to go up, and hopefully that really does improve our percentage if we're taking smart shots. Oh shoot, I didn't even think about Markieff Morris.
Right. Too. Well, that's not saying that gives them 11. That's 11 legit players.
Strong. That is strong. I can't think of anyone else that's on the team. I know they have a couple other guys, but
they got Cook, so that gives them 12. And then they got the Greek Freak's little brother, and then they got
that's
center.
right.
And they got Dudley. Those are your 15.
Dudley. Oh yeah, but like Dudley doesn't ever play unless it's jump minutes, and he's totally cool with it. And that's why I'm like, I wasn't that upset when we got him, because he's the team. He's a rah guy. Yeah, and he's totally cool with being on the bench. There's never complaints, and he's always having a good time. So I'm okay with that, because you can't really ask for too much when you're talking about the late end of the bench. Just like he didn't really play unless it was like a blowout. But you never heard him complain.
And same thing with Cook. Cook's not going to complain. He's just going to sit the bench, and then when he gets his time, he gets his time. Yeah. And that means a lot, because the guys at the end of the bench, they turn into cancers if they really think they should be playing.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so what would you say the odds of them winning? Is there any team that you're really thinking has a chance to knock out the Lakers?
No. I mean, no. From what I'm seeing now, I just their chemistry is so good. They could beat you so many different ways. The only team that would scare me would be Nets if they got Harden. But other than that, or if Miami got Harden. But even if Miami got Harden, they would be giving away a lot. Their shooters, they'd be giving away maybe Bam. I mean, I don't think they would give Bam, but I'm just saying they would have to give some pieces. Where the Nets are going to hold on, from what I hear, to Kyrie and obviously KD. Yeah. So I mean, those are good three players right there. And so I'm sure they'll keep Joe Harris unless they throw him in the trade. I'm not sure. Joe Harris is a really good basketball player, so we'll see. But there's nobody in the West that. The only other team that I think could take a big step this year, but I just don't think they'll beat the Lakers, is Dallas. Because I really fell in love with Luka in the playoffs, and they did make some good transactions. They kind of nothing big, just tinkered a little bit, and we'll see what happens. But if Luka takes another step, they're going to be good. They're going to be a challenge on a given night. They could give the Lakers a 6-game series. So that would be it. Denver. I don't know what they did in the summer or in the winter. They let Jeremy Grant go for nothing. He ended up going to Detroit for the same deal.
Yeah,
that's weird. And they really didn't replace him.
You just went for the money.
No, but they supposedly Denver offered him the exact same.
Oh, deal. Really?
Yeah, and he wanted to go to Detroit. I mean, who wants to go to Detroit? So I don't know if he wanted it to be his team. I have no idea. But I don't. The Warriors, once Clay got hurt, I think they're done for now. Maybe next year when Clay comes back. But Clay's been out 3 years now.
Yeah.
I think he's just going to be a journeyman at best now. Unfortunately, I love Clay. Sucks.
He's a shooter, so I mean, I think he'll be fine. But I mean, you're just pushing it further and further out for the Warriors, where they're getting older and older, and they can't withhold that kind of money for that team. So they're gonna be looking to get rid of Green here, I would say, at the end of this year or whenever his contract runs up. They wouldn't re-sign him, at least not for that big of a contract anyway, because they need to get get their salary under control. But then at that point, they may need to sign Wiseman. They may need to sign him to a max if it's a couple more years, 4 more years. So that'll lead into some problems for them as well. So I'm not really sure what they do, but I think the time of them contending, I think that's over. I could see them winning a playoff round. I could even see them getting to a conference championship. I just can't see them really going past the Lakers. The Lakers are really set up really well, and it's really interesting because you could. Okay, so let's say they win this year, right? And they're the favorites as of right now to win. That would give LeBron his 5th and give Anthony Davis his 2nd. And honestly, they're still built, as long as they kind of keep it the most together, which they should, at least one more year after that. I mean, they could honestly win another championship. And I don't think it would surprise anybody if they won one more championship. and then that would and one more after that would be a stretch. But I'm like, they could probably three-peat, which would be amazing for LeBron James's career because he's never three-peated before. Right. So if he was able to get a three-peat, and at that point, 3 plus, well, he had 3 before, so that would give him 6. So he'd have the same as Michael Jordan, but had way more success overall than Michael Jordan. I think the only thing that LeBron James needs, I think he needs one more MVP. He is like 1 or 2 short of Jordan, because Jordan had 5 or 6 MVPs. I can't remember. I think LeBron has 4.
Yeah, I think Jordan's got 5, but I could be wrong. So yeah, and then you got to mention the Clippers, and this is what I see. I think Paul George is a good basketball player, but I don't think he's elite. I think he's a good two-way player. Don't get me wrong.
He could be, though. It could have been a one-year weird thing because he was really good the year before. He was an MVP candidate 2 years ago.
Okay, so let's say you got the 2 best wings on the team, right? You got Kawhi and you have Paul George. But remember last year how deep, everybody's like, oh, man, the Clippers are so deep. If someone gets hurt, they're not that deep. I mean, I was watching them.
Not now.
They don't look that deep. They don't. The thing that they're so smart, right? Their owners, the smartest men ever born, according to him. But they can't figure out they don't need a point guard.
Yeah, that's really weird because that's like they need a point guard. And I'm surprised they did not go get Rondo. Right. And if I were them, I would make a trade for Rondo, before the trade deadline.
And I think they'll get a point guard.
What?
I think they will get a point guard at the trading deadline. And I just don't know what they have to trade. I don't know. No, I don't know who, but I'm saying they'll go for a point guard. They'll get a point guard. They need to. There's no way they can win an NBA championship with that one guy as a point guard. I mean, he's a good defender. Don't get me wrong.
Bradley. Beverly. Patrick Beverly,
yeah. But, he's a role player.
Yeah, they have Reggie Jackson as their backup point guard, and they have Lou Williams, and I mean they got guys. I mean they definitely have guys, but yeah, the point guard they're really creating shots. I mean, Kawhi can create his own shots. He's pretty good at assisting. Paul George is not really an assisting kind of guy. He's like get his own shot kind of guy.
Well, if
the rest of them are all spot shooters.
If the Clippers don't win it this year, they never will, because people have been bagging them all, and I want to keep on saying summer, all winter long. About how they choked, and they didn't get it done. So if they're going to get it done, it's got to be this year, right? Because if they don't get it done this year,
does Kawhi leave though?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he won't go to the Lakers, but where
No, he wouldn't go to the Lakers. I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
He'd probably go.
Yeah, probably. He probably would. Yeah. And I could see him at the Heat. I could totally see him with the Heat.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have cap space. And you're probably going to start hearing that pretty soon.
Well, it'll probably be a sign and trade too, but But Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, and see what else they could do. But that would be an interesting.
And Bam, that would be in the East. Yeah, that'd make them pretty tough. But that's if the Clippers are going to win the championship, it's got to be this year, because I just don't. If they don't win it this year, if they don't get to the finals this year, or they don't get to the conference finals, I should say this year, they're done. And it's funny.
They get the conference championship this year again. I think if they win one round, I wouldn't be surprised. But if they won 2 rounds, I would be surprised, because it's like Luka is he took over being my favorite player in that first round, because he was already top 2. It was LeBron and then him were my favorite players. Not saying they were the best players, though. I do think very highly of Luka.
Yeah,
I love Luka. Luka.
Yeah, I know. You got me on the Luka bandwagon. You kept telling me about him. I started watching him. I'm just amazed in the playoffs what a great basketball player he is. He's just so much fun to watch.
But I'm curious on if Luka takes the next step, which I would be very surprised if he doesn't take the next step, because I think next year he'll be the MVP. I think the NBA season would be prime for him, because I don't think he's so young. I don't think he's going to take any time off, and he's just going to be like, hey, I didn't play much of the bubble. I played some of it, but he didn't go deep. So he's rested. He's good to go. He's used to tournament type stuff. So I think he'll be just fine. I think I think he'll win MVP because it's really rare too that someone wins MVP 3 times in a row, especially if they have real deep success. And I know it's a season sport or season award and not a playoff award, but that typically happens. I don't think Giannis wins a third MVP, and I don't think that Giannis gets far into the playoffs. He might get to the conference championship this year, but I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, I'm really curious. What's going on with Giannis, because if you play the what's going on game, he would have signed already, right? If he was going to stay. So this tells me that he's going to wait it out and kind of see what happens in the summer and see what kind of trades Milwaukee could make. But they can't really make that many trades. They don't get that much to trade. No one's going to want Middleton. They maxed him out, and he's a good player. Again, not elite. He's very good. And then Drew Holiday, he's good, but he's not elite. They're just good basketball players.
Right.
It's not enough to beat the Lakers. It's not enough to beat the Celtics. It's not enough to beat the Heat. It's not enough to beat the Nets. So I don't even think they're the third best team in division or in the conference now.
Yeah, but they'll probably be good enough to get a high record, and then at that point, I mean, you just got to look to see what Giannis does. But I mean, your boy's the coach of that team, and it may not be very good for him if they don't get more this year.
He's in trouble. Yeah, Mike's in trouble, no doubt.
So.